They say every washed-up artist gets one last shot to prove they still matter. For me, that shot came on a Thursday afternoon while I was lounging in my small Brooklyn apartment, staring at my old keyboard like it held the secret to my lost glory days. I was Adam Fletcher, once a rising star of the 80s pop scene, now a regular performer at mall openings and county fairs. My biggest hit, Dancing Through the Rain, still got some radio play, but the gigs were drying up. That's when the call came. Chloe Carter, the reigning queen of pop, wanted me to write her next hit. Well, her people wanted me to write it, but same difference. The catch? I had 5 days. There was one problem. I'm great at writing melodies, but lyrics? Let's just say my rhyming dictionary is collecting dust. I needed help, and fast. That's when Sarah Monroe came into the picture. Sarah wasn't a lyricist. She wasn't even in the music business. She was the substitute for my regular plant sitter, stopping by once a week to water my struggling ferns. I'd overheard her humming a tune one day, and out of curiosity, asked what she was writing. "Oh, just a little poetry," she said, brushing it off like it was nothing. It wasn't nothing. Her words had this raw, unpolished beauty. "You ever written lyrics?" I asked. "No," she said, frowning. "Why?" "Because you're about to." Sarah didn't say yes right away. There was something holding her back, a hesitation I couldn't quite figure out. But I was desperate. "Come on," I said. "I've got 5 days to write a song for the biggest pop star in the country. You can't just leave me hanging." She rolled her eyes but eventually agreed. That's how we found ourselves in my cluttered studio, me at the keyboard and her scribbling in a notebook like her life depended on it. The first few hours were rough. Sarah kept second-guessing herself, crossing out line after line. "Love is like a river," she muttered, chewing on her pen. "Too cliché," I said, playing a soft melody. "Fine. Love is a quiet fire." "Better. Keep going." Slowly but surely, the pieces started falling into place. By the end of the night, we had a verse. Over coffee the next morning, Sarah opened up a little. She used to write poetry for fun, but stopped after a bad breakup. "My ex said I was too intense," she admitted, staring into her cup. "Too much." I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. "You don't think it's too much, do you?" she asked. "No," I said firmly. "It's honest. That's what makes it good." With 3 days left, we were running out of time. Chloe's manager called to check in, and I could hear the impatience in his voice. "This song needs to be perfect, Adam," he said. "Chloe doesn't do second rate." "No pressure," I muttered, hanging up. Sarah was sitting cross-legged on the floor, her notebook open in front of her. "I've got an idea," she said, biting her lip. "Let's hear it," I said, sitting down at the keyboard. She started reading, her voice steady but soft. By the time she finished, I was already playing a melody to match. That evening, we took a break and walked to the park down the street. The air was crisp, and the city lights sparkled in the distance. "Listen," I said, stopping in my tracks. "To what?" "The rhythm of everything," I said. "The city has its own song, you know." She laughed, but I could see the wheels turning in her head. When we got back to the studio, she wrote the chorus in one sitting. The last day was a blur of coffee, late-night brainstorming, and frantic rewrites. By the time the sun rose, we had it. A song that was more than just a catchy tune. It was ours. We played the finished track for Chloe later that afternoon in a sleek Manhattan studio. Her entourage filled the room, watching us with thinly veiled skepticism. Sarah sat next to me, her hands clenched nervously. I started playing the intro, and Sarah quietly sang the opening lines. The room went silent. By the time we reached the chorus, Chloe was smiling. "It's perfect," she said, clapping her hands. The song went on to become a hit, but that wasn't the real victory. The real win was watching Sarah find her voice again and remembering why I fell in love with music in the first place. Now, every time I sit at my keyboard, I think of that week in Brooklyn, the week that turned two strangers into something much more. Sometimes inspiration doesn't come from where you expect it. Sometimes it's the person watering your plants. Ready to improve your English in a fun and engaging way? Start learning through stories today. Subscribe to Learn with Godson and dive into captivating stories that will help you expand your vocabulary, understand sentence structures, and practice pronunciation. Stories make learning English exciting and memorable. Join us on this journey and watch your language skills grow with each story. The voiceover in this video is given by Learn with Godson. Copying or re-uploading is prohibited.